And this is why Reish Lakish says it's a winning kasha, because there's really no tshuva. So what do we see from here? Right? Lamaisa. We all see in our lives, and maybe we're these people, and sometimes we're always these people, even if we're very smart and we know how to formulate arguments. But sometimes we see that people have really emisdik things to say. They have really good arguments to offer, but the way in which they offer them is actually not so well structured and not so well formulated, and therefore the truth gets lost. So that's our Uriv here. He actually had a good kasha that Noach wouldn't have been able to be mataris to. But he didn't formulate it very well. He split it up into this weaker two-part kasha that wasn't really alsalo. It didn't work for him. And Noach was able to present, even though the raven had the winning argument, Noach was able to beat him seemingly, right? So in our lives, what we want to do is, first of all, we want to be very, very clear with ourselves. There's like a lot of practical advice here, right? Better to offer one argument that's stronger instead of two arguments that are weaker. So that brevity is the soul of wit. And we can have a real understanding that the less we say, the more impact and power our words have. And also when we see other people that aren't necessarily so good at speaking out what they have to say, that we can recognize and we can learn from them and we can try and help them bring out the emes in their words. And we can help them with that, in order that we can learn from them and they can learn from themselves how to better speak things out. So, Bezrat Hashem, we should all learn in the merit of our learning. We should be able to speak out better all of these ideas, these inyanim, and we should, Bezrat Hashem, learn from the Uriv what not to do in order that we can have a tshuva nisachas le'olam vayim. Okay, so that's the first drasha, and I thought that we could stop in the middle a little bit, and we could do a little niggin, a little something. Yeah. Okay.
It reminds me a little bit like it's different, but it reminds me of like Esav asking his questions. What did he ask Yaakov?
Not sure.
About tithing salt.
Right. It was like these oh, my kid's so he's so frum. He's worrying about these things it doesn't need tithe.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's like it feels like it's a similar.
His intentions were right, or at least it came across as being right, but they were not necessarily formulated right. In other words, you're asking a silly question, but maybe what's underneath there is a good question.
Sure.
Right? So like the question of Esau, in this case, what you're saying is like Esau was asking a good question. Like his question was coming from the right reason. Unfortunately, it wasn't accepted right.
Yeah, we see that all the time.
It's more like the raven knew enough Gemara, so to speak, to know.
Hey, he's like, look at me! I brought this Gemara in Avodah Zarah.
Those dudes, with fire and with ice, you don't have shlita. So I really. It could happen. Yeah. He knows enough to ask that.
No. That's the problem. He didn't bring that Gemara. He brought the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. He didn't bring the Gemara in Ksubos at Kol B'nei Shemayim Chutz Mitzin in Pachim.
So he should.
If he'd been a real mazmid, if he'd known enough, then he could have made that argument. So that's another nafkamina for us, is we have to be bakim, we have to be masmidim, we have to sit and just go learn and cover ground and learn for ourselves, because the more we know.
The arguments that are being made against us a lot of times are not founded. Most of the time, we're not founded, and most of the people who take what for face value, they use that information against us. Unfortunately, they don't really know what's going on.
Whenever I'm not here to
good proof about what happened yesterday, right?
Yeah. Wait, what happened yesterday?
With the hospital, they didn't before they even
Oh, I'm not holding. What's happening?
Yeah.
What happened yesterday?
Basically, there was a rocket that was misfired out of Gaza. And there was a rocket misfired out of Gaza, and within minutes, basically the entire world said, "Oh, it came from Israel." Within minutes.
I did hear about this. That's what they said. They shot the rocket at us, and it properly boomeranged around and hit their own hospital, which is why you should never buy your rockets from Australia.
But they said that it hit the hospital.
Right.
Even though it didn't.
But the point is that the people took it for face value right away without any information, without any knowledge, and then they're just
But then the damage is done. It doesn't even matter if the information.
Yeah, there's been crazy riots all in different countries, and
but the point is that we could had they taken a few minutes to really understand and really
the Jews.
Right, and then so what did the Israelis do? They took an extra couple of minutes and they gave him a recording saying one guy recorded. They found it. They listened.
That was so brilliant.
Yeah, they tapped into the phone lines. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to release the video, the recording for obvious reasons. They released the recording, and the recording proves these two guys are talking, saying, "Oh, it hit the hospital." What do you mean?
There are still people who.
Right.
They've also got radar.
Right. No, of course
intelligence from the U.S.
Of course they have that stuff, but the voice recording is what's so much more valuable.
Again,
people don't. Anyway,
one of my it's pashut, yeah, but information is the remedy to ignorance. Right. The more you know, the more you know.
Only if your mind is open.
Yeah, I've watched a few YouTube videos that says, like, let me explain the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to you. In 1947, and I'm not here to pass them for anyone how they should think and feel and have hashkafa on our current situation, but if you're starting your history of Israel in 1947, you're probably missing the clues. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. Okay. Nachamu nachamu ami yom Elokeichem Nachamu nachamu